2 weeks ago, I had a house. I had a wife. I had a steady job as an electrician. Now I am sitting in a plasma donation center, watching a needle slide into my arm, trading my blood for $40 just to buy food. My wife told me I would die broke and alone. She laughed when she said it. But she had no idea what was about to happen in this room. Before I tell you what happened next, let me know where you are watching from today. Hit that subscribe button and stay with me because what those three men in suits told me changed everything I thought I knew about myself. I met Monica 8 years ago at a small coffee shop in Portland, Oregon. It was one of those rainy afternoons where the world outside looked gray and cold, but inside that little shop, everything felt warm. She was sitting by the window reading a book, her dark hair falling across her shoulders. I was just a guy grabbing coffee before heading to my next job. I worked as an electrician back then, and I still had sawdust on my boots. She looked up at me and smiled. Not the polite kind of smile you give strangers, a real smile, the kind that makes you forget what you were doing. I must have stood there like an idiot, because she laughed and asked if I was going to order or just stand there all day. That was Monica, confident, sharp, beautiful in a way that made you feel lucky just to be in the same room as her. She worked at a bank downtown handling accounts for wealthy clients. She wore nice clothes, spoke with precision, and carried herself like someone who knew exactly where she was going in life. I never understood why she chose me. I was just a working man with calloused hands and a pickup truck that needed new brakes. But she said she liked that about me. She said I was real, honest, different from the men in suits she dealt with every day. We dated for 6 months. Everything moved fast. She would show up at my apartment with takeout and a bottle of wine. We would talk for hours about everything and nothing. She made me feel like I mattered, like I was enough. We got married in a small ceremony at the courthouse. No big wedding, no fancy reception. Just us, a few friends, and a promise to build a life together. 2 years later, we bought a house. Nothing fancy, just a 3-bedroom place with a small backyard. I put my name on the mortgage alongside hers. I thought we were building something that would last forever. I was wrong. The changes started around our 5th year of marriage. Small things at first. Monica began coming home later from work. Meetings ran long, she said. Client dinners, networking events. I believed her because I had no reason not to. She was climbing the ladder at the bank and I was proud of her. But then she started looking at me differently, not with love, with something closer to disappointment. She would glance at my work clothes when I came home and sigh. She stopped asking about my day. When I tried to talk to her, she would pick up her phone and scroll through it, barely listening. One night, I cooked dinner for us, her favorite meal, roasted chicken with garlic mashed potatoes. I set the table with candles, hoping to bring back some of what we had lost. She came home 2 hours late, looked at the food, and said she had already eaten with colleagues. I started working overtime, picking up extra jobs on weekends. I thought maybe if I made more money, she would respect me again. But nothing I did was ever enough. She criticized how I dressed, how I talked, the fact that I did not have a college degree. She said I had no ambition, that I would always be just an electrician. We stopped sleeping in the same bed. She said she needed space. I moved to the guest room, telling myself it was temporary, that we would work through this. Then I noticed she changed the password on her phone. When I asked about it, she said it was for work security, new bank policy. I wanted to believe her. One night I woke up around 2 in the morning and walked to the kitchen for water. I saw a faint glow coming from the living room. Monica was curled up on the couch, texting someone, giggling softly. The sound of her laughter hit me like a punch to the chest. She had not laughed like that with me in years. When she saw me standing there, her face went cold. She locked her phone immediately. I asked who she was texting. Just a coworker, she said. Go back to bed. But her eyes would not meet mine. The truth came out 3 weeks later. Monica had left her laptop open on the kitchen counter. She was in the shower, and I saw the notification pop up on the screen. A message from someone named Derek. The words were clear enough. I miss you. Last night was incredible. Cannot wait to see you again. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through the messages. Weeks of conversations. Months. words of love and longing, plans for the future. Pictures I wish I had never seen. Derek was not just some random person. He was a senior manager at her bank. He drove a Mercedes. He wore designer suits. He was everything I was not. When Monica came out of the shower, I was sitting at the kitchen table with the laptop in front of me. She saw my face and knew immediately. I expected her to apologize, to cry, to beg for forgiveness. She did none of those things. Instead, she crossed her arms and looked at me with something close to pity. "Derek gives me what you never could," she said. "Money, status, a future. Did you really think I was happy living this small life with you? I felt like the ground had opened beneath my feet." "Monica," I said, "we can work through this. I love you. Please." She laughed, actually laughed. "You think I stayed with you because I loved you? I stayed because I was waiting for something better, and now I have it." She filed for divorce the next week. Her lawyer was expensive and ruthless. I could not afford anyone close to that level. The court proceedings were a blur of documents and legal terms I barely understood. When it was over, Monica got the house. She got the car. She got nearly everything we had built together. I walked away with my clothes, a few personal items, and $342 in my bank account. Finding a place to live with almost nothing was harder than I expected. I ended up renting a small room in a rundown building on the outskirts of Portland. The walls were thin. The ceiling had water stains. The single window looked out onto an alley filled with dumpsters, but it was $60 a week, and that was all I could afford. I tried to keep working, tried to show up on time and do my job, but my mind was somewhere else. I made mistakes, forgot to double-check connections, showed up late because I could not sleep at night. After 3 months of declining performance, my supervisor called me into his office and told me they had to let me go. I sat in my car for an hour after that, staring at nothing. I had lost my wife, my home, my job. Everything I had worked for over the past decade was gone. The landlord gave me 2 weeks to pay rent or leave. I applied for jobs everywhere: construction sites, retail stores, fast food restaurants. Nobody called back. The rejection emails piled up in my inbox like tombstones. I started eating once a day to stretch my money. Sometimes I skipped meals entirely. I lost weight. My clothes hung loose on my frame. I avoided mirrors because I did not recognize the man looking back at me. 1 week before I went to the plasma center, I ran into Monica at the grocery store. I was there to buy the cheapest bread and peanut butter I could find. She was there with Derek. Monica looked like a different person. Designer dress, hair perfectly styled, a new diamond ring glittering on her finger. Derek stood beside her with his arm around her waist, wearing a suit that probably cost more than 3 months of my old salary. When Monica saw me, she stopped. Her eyes traveled from my worn shoes to my faded jacket to my unshaven face. A smile spread across her lips. Not a kind smile, the smile of someone looking at something beneath them. "Look at you," she said loud enough for the people around us to hear. "I told you, Hugh. You will die broke and alone, and nobody will care." Derek chuckled and pulled her closer. They walked away without looking back. I stood there in the grocery aisle, frozen. People walked past me going about their shopping, completely unaware that my entire world had just crumbled even further. That night, I did not sleep at all. Monica's words echoed in my head over and over. Broke and alone. Nobody will care. Broke and alone. By the end of that week, I had exactly $12 left. Not enough for rent, not enough for food, not enough for anything. Then I saw a flyer taped to a telephone pole. Donate plasma. Earn up to $40 per visit. The address was 3 miles away. I did not have money for the bus, so I walked. The Plasma Donation Center was a plain building with fluorescent lights and plastic chairs. The waiting room was filled with people like me, people who had run out of options. I filled out the paperwork with shaking hands. Medical history. Emergency contact. I left that one blank because there was no one to call. A nurse named Denise called my name and led me to a small room. She was kind, patient. She explained the process while she checked my blood pressure and took my temperature. Everything looked normal, she said. They just needed to take a blood sample first to make sure I was eligible. I watched my blood fill the small vial, dark red against the clear plastic. I wondered how many times I would have to do this to survive, how many pieces of myself I would have to sell. Denise said she would be back in a few minutes with the results. I sat alone in that room, staring out of the window at the gray sky, thinking about everything that had led me to this moment. Denise came back after about 10 minutes, but something was different. She was staring at a printout in her hand, then looking at me, then back at the paper. Her expression was hard to read. Confusion, maybe, or disbelief. "Is everything okay?" I asked. She forced a smile. "Just give me one moment. I need to check something with the doctor." She left before I could ask any more questions. Through the small window in the door, I could see her talking urgently with another staff member. They both looked at me through the glass. My stomach dropped. I was convinced something was wrong with my blood. Cancer, maybe, or some disease I did not know I had. Just another disaster to add to the pile. 15 minutes passed, then 20, then 30. I sat there watching the clock on the wall tick away, my anxiety growing with every minute. A doctor I had not seen before came in. Middle-aged man with glasses and a serious expression. He asked to take another blood sample. Said they needed to confirm something. I asked what was going on, but he just said protocol required verification. I gave more blood. He left. More waiting. 45 minutes after Denise had first taken my blood, the front door of the center opened and 3 men in suits walked in. They moved with purpose, like people who were used to being in charge. The receptionist pointed toward my room, and they walked straight to me. The man in front was older than the other two, maybe 60, with silver hair and a face that had seen decades of boardrooms and courtrooms. He wore a dark gray suit that fit him perfectly. The 2 men behind him were younger, carrying leather briefcases, staying a step behind like assistants or associates. The older man stopped at the doorway and looked at me for a long moment. There was something in his eyes. Recognition, maybe. Or the end of a very long search. "Are you Hugh?" he asked. "Born on March 15th, 1987. Left at Portland General Hospital as an infant, I could not speak at first. How did he know that I had been adopted as a baby? The hospital and the date were correct, but I had never told anyone here about my past. Yes, I finally managed. That is me. Who are you?" The man stepped into the room and extended his hand. "My name is Theodore Harmon. I am an attorney from Whitfield Harmon and Associates in New York. These are my colleagues. We have been searching for you for 32 years. And today, thanks to a blood database we established years ago, we finally found you." I shook his hand, but nothing he said made sense. Searching for me, why, I do not understand. Theodore pulled a chair closer and sat down across from me. His expression softened. "What I am about to tell you will be difficult to hear," he said. "But please let me explain everything." He told me a story that changed my entire life. 32 years ago, a young woman gave birth at Portland General Hospital. She was unmarried, barely 20 years old, and came from a strict family that could not accept a child born outside of marriage. Under pressure from her parents, she was forced to give up her baby. That baby was me. But there was more. The young woman was not alone when she became pregnant. The father was a man named William Ashford. At the time, William was young too, just starting his career in real estate. The woman's family had separated them, told him she had moved away, and he never knew she was pregnant. For years, William built his business. He became successful, wealthy. One of the most prominent real estate developers on the East Coast. But something was always missing from his life. He never married, never had other children. He always felt like a part of him was out there somewhere. 10 years ago, William learned the truth. A deathbed confession from someone in the woman's family revealed that he had a son who had been given up for adoption 32 years ago. From that day forward, Theodore explained, William dedicated himself to finding you. He hired investigators. He established DNA databases. He never gave up hope. My throat was tight. I could barely breathe. "Where is he now?" I asked. "Where is William Theodore's face grew somber." "I am sorry, Hugh. William passed away 6 months ago. Heart failure. He searched for you until his very last day. His greatest regret was that he never got to meet you." Tears were streaming down my face. I had spent my whole life wondering about my birth parents, wondering why they gave me up, wondering if I was wanted. And now I learned that my father had spent years trying to find me, and he died before he could. But that was not the end of the story. Before William died, Theodore continued, he prepared a will. He left everything to you, his entire estate, his company, his investments, his properties, all of it. I stared at him. "What do you mean, everything?" Theodore opened one of the briefcases and pulled out a document. "William Ashford's estate is valued at approximately $84 million. As his only heir, you inherit all of it." The room started spinning. I gripped the armrest of my chair. $84 million. I had walked into this building with $12 in my pocket ready to sell my plasma for 40 more, and now I was being told I was worth $84 million. "This has to be a mistake," I said. Theodore shook his head. "We have verified everything he said. Your DNA matches William's records perfectly. The legal documentation is in order. This is real, Hugh. Your father wanted you to have this. He wanted you to know that you were always loved." The weeks that followed were a blur of lawyers' documents and revelations. Theodore and his team walked me through every step of the process. There were court filings, estate transfers, and meetings with financial advisors. Every time I signed a paper, I expected someone to tell me it was all a joke. But it was real. All of it. Among the documents Theodore gave me was a letter. William had written it 3 years before he died when his health first started to decline. He wanted me to have it in case he passed before finding me. I read that letter alone in my tiny rented room, the same room where I had wondered how I would survive another week. The paper was thick and cream-colored. The handwriting was careful, deliberate. "Dear son," the letter began. "I do not know your name. I do not know where you are or what kind of life you have lived. But I want you to know that not a single day has passed where I did not think of you. You were taken from me before I even knew you existed. Finding you has been the purpose of my remaining years. If you are reading this, it means I did not succeed in time, and for that I am deeply sorry. But please know this. You were always wanted. You were always loved. And wherever you are, I hope you find the happiness you deserve. Your father, William." I cried harder than I had ever cried in my life. For the father I never knew. For the years we lost. For the love that existed across decades and distance even when neither of us knew about each other. The verification process took 3 weeks. When it was complete, I was officially recognized as William Ashford's sole heir. $84 million, properties across 6 states, a real estate development company with over 200 employees. Me. The man who was selling his blood for $40. Word got around fast. I do not know how, but somehow the news spread. And 1 month after I inherited everything, my phone rang with a number I never expected to see again. It was Monica. Her voice was different than the last time I heard it. Softer, more careful. She said she had heard about my good fortune. She said she had made terrible mistakes. She said Derek had left her for someone else, someone younger, someone new. She said she realized now that I was the one she truly loved. She begged me for another chance. She said she was sorry. She cried. I listened without interrupting. When she finished, there was a long silence. "Monica," I finally said, "you left me when I had nothing. You laughed at me in that grocery store. You told me I would die broke and alone. You chose Derek because of his money, and now you are calling me because of mine." "Hugh, please," she started. "The answer is no," I said. "I deserve someone who loves me for who I am, not for what I have. Goodbye, Monica." I blocked her number and never looked back. In the months that followed, I learned how to be someone new. I did not become one of those people who wastes their fortune on sports cars and mansions. That was never who I was. Instead, I studied. I met with the executives at Williams' company. I learned the business from the ground up. I wanted to honor my father's legacy, not just inherit it. I also started a foundation, the Ashford Foundation for Children and Families. We help kids in foster care. We support adults who have hit rock bottom and need a second chance. People like I was. People sitting in plasma centers wondering how they will survive tomorrow. I think about Monica sometimes. Not with anger, not anymore. She taught me something important. She taught me that some people only see value in what you have, not in who you are. And when you have nothing, those people will leave. They will laugh at you. They will tell you that you will die alone. But the people who matter are the ones who stay, or the ones who search for you for 32 years because they believe you are worth finding. My father never got to meet me, but in a way, he saved my life. His love reached across time and found me at my lowest moment. It pulled me out of that plasma center and showed me that I was never truly alone. Monica was wrong. I did not die broke and alone. I found a family. I found purpose. I found myself, and that is worth more than any amount of money. So, here is my question for you. Have you ever been at your lowest point only to discover that something unexpected was waiting for you on the other side? I would love to hear your story in the comments below. And if this story touched you in any way, please hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss more stories like this one. And share this video with someone who might need to hear it today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I hope you remember that no matter how dark things seem, your story is not over yet. The best chapter might be the one you have not written yet. Take care of yourselves, and never stop believing that you are worth finding.